Well, good evening. My name is Jim Freeman with WLAF La Follette. We're glad you're here this evening. I wasn't born in Campbell County, but I got here as soon as I could, and we're glad you're here this evening. And you may not be from Campbell County either, but we're glad you're here. We have our school board candidates first from Districts 1 and District 2. You know Sharon Mills Reidner, Mr. Rector Miller, who's serving currently on the school board. Our panel this evening is from left to right, Charles Boomer Winfrey, Charlotte Underwood, both with WLAF, Brent Shanding, the editor of the La Follette Press, Karen Kumrich, the business manager of the La Follette Press, and then Joe King. He's the new addition to the La Follette Press. Had a front page story today too, didn't you? Okay. What we'd like to do tonight is kind of keep this comfortable. We're going to just bring the mic around, let the candidates remain seated. That way we're not, having to stand up, sit back down, so forth and so on. We'll take the mic to the panelists for the questions. And we're trying to make this as fair as fair can be. We're going to ask some general questions to both candidates tonight. They will both have answers for those questions, and then we will allow them to select a question that would be just for them from the fishbowl. So that way we're not going to maybe ask somebody an easy question, the next person gets a hard question, what have you. And you're going to have a couple of minutes to introduce yourselves, let us know why you're running, why you want to be reelected, what have you. And then we're going to have 2 minutes for your answers. There'll be a chance for a rebuttal too if you'd like to do something like that, and that will also be 2 minutes. And of course, we're pioneering here tonight. We've not done this before. We're live on the radio, we're filming for TV, and we're just doing the best we can as we go along. We've made a few changes since we got here this evening just to try to make it a little bit smoother for everybody concerned, especially our guests, our candidates this evening. Now, with regard to questions, we're thinking, what, about 4 questions per candidate total? Is that what we came up with? Okay. And we had an answer time of 90 seconds on the limit, but we could only find a time where it would allow us 2 minutes. So we're going 2 minutes, okay? So that's how that came about. Now, are we ready for our first question? And who will have that question for us? Ladies first. Okay, Charlotte. Oh, we're going to let Mrs. Mills Reidner. Okay. You had a multiple choice there. Okay.
What do you see as the board's roles and responsibilities? Since I'm running for 2nd District, you want me to hold it?
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay.
As I am running for 2nd District school board member, the role of the board is to set policy. That's all. That's their chief duty to do. They hire the CEO, which is the director of schools, and they are to carry out the duties that the board decides upon as the policies that have to be passed. That's what I see as a role and responsibility.
Okay. Very good. Mr. Miller?
How would you describe an effective school board member? I think an effective school board member is one who realizes that you can't do nothing by yourself. When you're on a school board, there's 10 of you in this county, there's 10 school board members. One person can't do anything, but one person can lead if you choose to lead. And I think if you've got the vision and you've got the aspirations of ideas that you want to bring forth in front of the board and try to encourage others and influence them to come along with you for the greater good of the children first, for the teachers that you work for as the employer, which the Board of Education is. And I think that that's mainly the biggest role that an effective school board member is, because if you go down there and you don't try to put forth your ideas and try to get others involved to try to get those things passed, then these issues that come up or things that need to be changed will never be without that first person coming forward. I feel like I've been that type of person. I've been that type of person that when I saw something that wasn't right and we had some discussions about what needed to be changed, I would be out front doing that. I had no problem with being out front. And so I think an effective board member has to understand that, number one person can't do anything. It takes 6 votes out of the 10 for a simple majority. So he has to get along, but he can lead to help others follow along with him. And I think that's one of the most important things a board member can do.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I was a breech baby, So I tend to do things backwards and forget things. And I heard somebody over here a minute ago say that we'd let you introduce yourselves and have 2 minutes to talk opening comments. Let's do that, okay? My apologies. This is Sharon Mills Ridner.
I am Sharon Mills Ridner, and as I said before at the last forum, I only place the Mills on there because a lot of my students, I've had this name for 50 years, and they know me as Mills and not as Ridner. I am privileged to be a candidate for the 2nd District School Board seat. The incumbent chose not to run, so there's 2 of us running. And I have experience, I feel like, in order to fill this position. I've been employed by the Campbell County Board of Education for 45 years. That's a long time. And I've been retired for a year as of next Monday. My qualifications are that, of course, I have a master's plus 45. I have a certification to be the director of schools. I served as a director of schools interim for 6 months. I have been a classroom teacher, business ed teacher for 19 years, a career in technical / vocational education, since a lot of people still realize that's the name it was given. I was the vocational director for like 26 years. So I feel like that I have some responsibility for being in this position. Also, I have attended school board meetings for 26 years. As a supervisor, we were required to attend. Only time we didn't is when Wynn High School was closing, and Mr. Miller, who was superintendent at that time, wouldn't let the ladies come. So that's the only time I did not attend. See, I go way back in knowing these things. I know the importance of our children. I have some goals that I would like to see done. Of course, we have a budget. We need a budget set for this school year for 2014-15. And I understand that from our fund balance for the last 2 years, the budget has been balanced with some personnel taking out of it. So we need to finish up. Okay, I want more school safety, of course. Testing, we need to look at it. Common Core. We need a 5-year strategic plan implemented. And I would like to represent the teachers, parents, students of Campbell County.
Thank you. You did make it through all that. You did well. How's the microphone sounding? Are we loud enough for you? Yes? No? Doesn't matter? Okay. Very good. Now, Mr. Rector Miller from District 1.
Okay, I am Rector Miller, and I had the privilege of being elected 4 years ago as one of the school board members in the 1st District. I've lived what we call up the valley for the last 38 years. I went up there when I was 11 years old. I lived right down the street here on the main street, and I went to school here at this school. I graduated from Campbell County High School, went to college for 1 year, was elected to several youth organizations right after I got out of high school, National Safety Council, was state FFA officer, traveled a lot of places throughout the country representing youth. Came back here, and now I'm a licensed contractor. I employ 15 people. I've had a company for now nearly 20 years. I've made a payroll every week since 1993. I know what it takes to make decisions. I'm happily married to my wife, Carla, who's in the audience with us tonight. My son, Matthew's here with us. I have a wonderful grandson, Mason Reese, and a stepson, David Wormsley, who is a county cop with the county sheriff's department. I ran 4 years ago because I had a desire to try to be an advocate for change for children in the county. One of the main things I ran on was, number one, we need a director of schools that was local. We've got that now. The second thing I ran on is schools need to be safer. Now there's more safety resource officers in the school, and hopefully, if we get reelected, if I get reelected, we'll have them in the elementary schools. So we'll talk about this more, hopefully, but I have a desire to be your board member again for another 4-year term, and I would appreciate your vote.
Okay, we'll start with the little voiced fellow over here, Charles Boomer Winfrey. Boomer?
So I don't pull a question. How do you want me to do it? Oh, get a red one? Let me get a good one here. Yep, it certainly is. I got 2. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to address this to first Director, since he's already on the board, and then we'll let Sharon. Do you feel that Campbell County's alternative school is being successful at providing problem students with adequate education? If not, how would you improve or change the alternative program?
Thank you, Mr. Winfrey. I'm glad that subject was brought up. When I was elected in 2010, the alternative school was in Ridgewood School down in the lower end of the county. We had a building just right over here at East La Follette that was about to be torn down. We acted at this time, never in the history of the Board of Education, we acted as our own contractor in order to redo that building and save the county over $200,000 to bring those students up here. And quite frankly, the reason why was kids were being put in the alternative school, but they had to go all the way down there, and the parents didn't have enough gas to get them down there. So they wasn't going. So you would have 30 or 40 kids enrolled, and there would only be 10 there. Since then, we have a viable program going now. Mr. Poston has done an excellent job staffing it. I think we have 5 teachers over there now. They have a roll of probably 40 to 50 kids. Most of them are there every day. We have transportation coming from the high school to the building. So I think it's improved a great deal. I know that they are looking at some more curriculum that they're going to try to add into that to help it to be better. But we have made leaps and bounds on our alternative learning, and I think that it's really a success to the graduation rate, and I think it's a good thing for the education system in our county.
Could I have the question repeated?
Don't I? Although, you know, they call me Boomer because I usually don't need a mic, but probably in this bigger room. Do you feel that Campbell County's alternative school is being successful at providing problem students with an adequate education? If not, how would you improve or change the alternative program? Or if you feel there are any weaknesses?
The only weakness I see, I think it is an excellent program. Sandy Comer Wilson has done an excellent job as being the principal of that school this year. This is her first year doing it. But it's a great facility, as Mr. Miller said. It's a perfect place for us to have an alternative school. We truly didn't have one before. The only problem that I see, I'm not sure how our students are placed in there, what process that they go through. There used to be a committee that would sit down at the schools and go through completely in talking to the parents and spending more time getting them, placing them in there. I'm not sure that is being done anymore. That is my concern that I have for it.
Thank you. Charlotte Underwood.
There are rumors that some schools stack classes, that is, assign better students to certain teachers and assign underachieving students to other teachers. Have you ever heard complaints or reports of this, and if so, have you investigated? Do you see a problem with this practice, and what should be done about it?
I have heard of these complaints. I do know that, and I will speak from experience of my sister, who is I don't want to put her on the hot spot, but she is the principal at Jacksboro Elementary. And I do know that as principal, she does put children in classrooms with the capacity of their achievement to each teacher. I cannot attest to the fact of whether that's been going on in all the schools. I have taken this initiative to Mr. Poston and told him that there is some issues there with that. I have not talked to him previously about that, but I do think that it would be a viable thing for all schools to follow that standard, because what that does, that gives the teacher the opportunity to perform fairly with other teachers, and if the practice is being done that way, I would hope Mr. Poston would correct it.
Would you like to ask the question again, please?
There are rumors that some schools stack classes, that is, assign better students to certain teachers and assign underachieving students to other teachers. Have you ever heard complaints or reports of this, and if so, have you investigated? Do you see a problem with this, and what should be done about it?
The problem that I see many years ago, and I assume it has stopped, It was at Jacksboro Elementary that they used to camp out years ago. Parents would be up there, in the middle of the night waiting to get their child in a certain teacher's room out of it. I think that's all pretty well been halted everywhere. I see what the complaint could be, because there are parents that do not know the teachers. When when I have access to know who the teachers are, I may say, I want my child in that room. And I think a lot of things are worked out through the Board of Education to allow them to be in certain rooms, unless they get overcrowded and there are too many people. I feel sorry. My sympathy goes to the parents that do not know that the teachers, if we want all of our teachers to be perfect and top performing, we want all teachers to be that. But if you have a teacher who is not the best math teacher and your child is deficient, you may ask, and a lot of times I think they can go through the supervisors and they can maybe get them in a classroom that can be. I just think every child should have an opportunity to have the best teacher and have the classes that they deserve. So I think pretty much the complaint about them lining up and all that is gone. It used to be they would pool them together. I know at La Follette Junior High and La Follette Middle School, they would sit down at the end of the year and take names out of a hat. The philosophy of having all top students in one class is a benefit to the teacher, and it can be for the student too. But we have to kind of work with the philosophy of that particular school and work with those individual cases that are brought before us.
Thank you. This will be our last question. They've gone quickly. We said 4, right? And then we'll allow the two of you time to just do a close after that. And we'd like to say a special thank you to Robbie Heatherly for allowing us to be here at La Follette Middle School this evening. He was here helping carry chairs and tables and everything tonight. And Robbie, we greatly appreciate your help. Thank you. Now to Brent Shanning, who's the editor of the La Follette Press, for your question, sir.
How should teacher performance be evaluated?
I feel like the teacher performance, of course, the state sets the standards that the system has to go through, and I'm not certain, but I believe it's 35% that the teachers receive from the grades from their class. I may be wrong about that because they keep changing it. I mean, they've went from one size fits all to they've changed it back and forth. But the one issue that I have brought up with Director Poston about is that, and it leads into the Common Core initiative that we're dealing with right now. The biggest problem that we have with Common Core is there's a lot of parents and there's quite frankly a lot of teachers that are saying that the education is not fully rounded, that the kid is not getting enough education as a fully rounded like they used to get years ago, that too much focus is being put on those 3 items. And when you have a teacher that has to perform to keep their job, because if their evaluation drops down to a 1 with no school tenure anymore of teachers, then after 2 years, their job can be taken away. And it goes back to the prior question too about, well, if I'm asked to perform, how come I'm getting these non-achieving kids and that teacher's getting the achieving kids? So I think there's a lot of effort that needs to keep going in. I think principals have a bigger role to play in this, to work with their teachers, to make sure those children are placed. And so I think that based on the teacher evaluation, I think it's a good evaluation, but I also think that other factors should be considered. And that comes directly from the principal, because I think the principal knows what their teachers are doing. I think the principal knows how good that teacher is. And that to me should go a long way other than just what happens on a test.
I'd like to read the question again, please, Brent.
How should teacher performance be evaluated?
Teacher performance the state has set the standard for it at the present time. And as Mr. Miller said, a certain percentage is weighed on how well your students did in your class on certain tests, on DCAP or whatever testing, end of course test or whatever. I have had the privilege of doing these evaluations based on the state's performance. The good thing about it, it has caused your teachers to rethink everything that they're teaching, how they teach it, because they have to hit all these different areas in order to make a 5 on their evaluation. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think we need more staff development maybe in helping those teachers be able to excel in their evaluations. The good thing is, well, let me give you the sad thing. A teacher here at La Follette Middle School talked to me a couple weeks ago, and she was a 5 on her evaluation. Her students did well on the test, and she did. But the factor comes in how well on something, I don't know whether it's math or language here at La Follette Middle School, if their scores go down, it could cause her score to go down. And she feels like she's a level 5 teacher, and I'm sure she is. And I had a young man at Jellicoe High School. He was a level 5 teacher, but because of some scores the school had, he could never make above a 1, which is very sad for that teacher. That's not fair for our teachers. But the state has mandated at this point our evaluation system. And it makes a teacher think about all the different areas, the different activities that they need to do in each classroom. And a beginning teacher has to be evaluated 5 times during that year. It's a good way of us not keeping teachers if we shouldn't keep them for our students. But the system has some flaws in it that needs to be done in order for our teachers to have a fair shake at it.
Well, you're right on 2 minutes. That was perfect timing. You could talk into the network news there. Now, we're not trying to shortchange Mr. Miller or Mrs. Mills-Ridner. We prepared 4 questions for each candidate. Obviously, we had 8 instead of 16. And we want to go ahead and move on along. We all don't want to be here all night, but we want to get to our commission candidates as well. We'll allow Mr. Miller to make some closing comments, and we'll start to wind down.
I want to thank Mr. Freeman and WLAF and La Follette Press for having this. I think this is a great way for voters. I wish there were more here to be able to see the candidates, hear firsthand where they stand, and I think it's just a good thing for the democracy and the voter ability that we have here to vote for our candidates. You hear a lot on national politics. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? 4 years ago, you did not have 7 safety resource officers in your schools, in your middle schools, in your high schools. I went to Dr. Martin the day I was sworn in, and within 60 days, we had the funding of $162,000 to put more SROs in the middle schools in Jellicoe. We saved over $250,000 because we didn't let all the architects make the money. And with my lead in the construction experience I had, we put the alternative school over here at East La Follette. We brought in trained performance contract and did a $4.5 million project 3 years ago that updated all the lighting in every school that we had, updated all the plumbing, did $4.5 million. The payment is being paid every month by the savings in the electricity and the water that we were paying, and on top of that, we have saved $400,000. The solar panels that were installed, we've saved $175,000. Just this evening, Director of Finance Jeff Marlowe told us if we didn't have those 2 projects, we would be $600 and something thousand worse in the hole in our budget. Those are the type of things that I have led the effort on. I will continue to lead. Our test scores are up. Our children are doing better. Our children are safer. If you elect me for 4 more years, I'll do everything I can to keep that ball rolling and to do what's right for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Mills-Ridner.
As one of the main things that I think that we need to make sure that we work on this year, and since we have county commissioners here, I know money is a tight object and it's going to be tough. We have had, and you may not like to hear the name, but Obama money came to this school system 4 years ago. We received $4 million that we've used to have the best technology that we can have in our schools. We all have Promethean boards on there, and if you don't know what that is, that's an interactive board. We have computers. We were given some money that was given to us to work with. Also, the board was given over $1 million for jobs money, and they chose to place it in building program, and that's how a lot of your extra things have been done for our buildings. You also realize that there are about $2 million that could be coming into our budget from the state, and the state, the county, you give about 20% of our local money goes into our school budget, where 80% of it is split between federal and state money that comes in. But there are nearly $2 million that we're paying on buildings in order to have them. And I know why. That saves the commission from having to come up with the money to do it. But it's taking it out of the school budget too. I know it'll probably another 15 years or so before those bonds are retired out of it. But we need to find some way of giving our teachers a raise if there's any way possible. They work hard. They work with your students every day. I know that the parents, guardians, you all send, grandparents especially, send the best child you have at home into our schools, and they deserve the best education that they can have. And we need all the tools that we can have to work with. And I'm sure, you know, as technology gets old. In 4 years, it's going to be time that we're going to have to turn over and be able to upgrade what we already have. So there are lots of needs that our schools need in their county. So I'm asked for your vote in the 2nd District. Thank you.
How about a round of applause for Sharon Mills Ryder and Rector Miller? Lady and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you very much. That is it. You're free to go. How about our District 1 County Commission candidates? If you would come on up, and probably the right side is going to be your easiest way to come up. County Commission District 1, the candidates are M. David Ayers, Anne Marie Ayers, Anthony Tony Dossett, Whit Goins, Paul E. Harrell, Robert Higgy Higginbotham, Jeffrey Miller, J. Wesley Mitz, D. Corey Poston, Steve E. Rutherford, and David G. Young. Okay. Do we have those questions? Okay, we're getting our questions together for the county commissioners. And we have such a large group, we may have to use the same question more than once. Wow. Okay, we've got a good turnout here. Have a seat. We'll see if we can match a name tag up to your face here in just a minute. We have David G. Young on the left end, Jeffrey Miller. Glad you put your name on your shirt. That's good. Anne Marie Ayers, David Atkins, Whit Goins, and I'm not sure who this fellow is here, Steve Rutherford, and Tony Dossett. Come on in. And who's with Tony here? Jay Mitz. Good to see you. Let's see. You're Linda's son. Yes. I'm going to get you a chair, Jay. I think that's going to be good. That's a little closeness here. Yes. The rose among the thorns. Let's see, Whit Goins. Jay's on the end down there. Tony is next to last down here in the white golf shirt. Steve Rutherford and Jay Mitz. Okay, how will we begin with the introductions? Just start, where should we start? Where'd Brent go? He's getting a water. Where do you want to start with introductions, Brent? Start with Jay? Okay. We'll get Jay's name tag out here. All right, well you can, Jay, let's see here. Let's see if I can scoot this podium out of the way. If you want to scoot up a little bit, and that way they can see you. Jay Mitz. Jay, you have 2 minutes. Tell us a little about yourself.
My name's Jay Mitz. I've been in this community all my life, born and raised. Left out here after high school, went to college for some time. Didn't do so well, but that's, you know, I grew up a little bit as we progressed there, and you know, I think I could do a good job at this. be willing to do my best. That's what I would do. I'd do the best I can.
Thank you, Jay Mitz. Now to Anthony Tony Dossett. Tony?
Thank you. My name is Tony Dossett. Graduated from high school in 1980. I'm 52 years old. Anyway, I studied business at the University of Tennessee, where at that point in time I applied for an apprenticeship program or an internship with the Tennessee Valley Authority. I worked with that organization for 20 plus years and just retired recently. I am trying to do a better, I don't know, I've had a lot of people in this community tell me that we could do things better. You know, it's just, you see things around you and you get people telling you that they're not happy with what's going on with our county commission and the way things are progressing in our county. And at this point, I think that we need a change. We need a change. And if the people there that's been there cannot do the job, the way I look at this is a job interview. And I have been in, well, through the years I've transferred from one department to the next and had to basically go in and sell myself on that position or that job. And I feel like that I could do this job and I would work with the people of the 1st District. And I'm Tony Dossett, running for County Commissioner, 1st District. Thank you.
Tony, thank you. Now to Principal Steve Rutherford.
Good evening. My name's Steve Rutherford, and I'm one of those folks that are on the commission right now. And have I been perfect? No. But, you know, there's nobody that's perfect. Made mistakes. But here's what I have learned from being on the county commission, that it takes some training. It takes some experience to learn how your county operates. And then it takes some courage and some backbone stuff to stand up to make the hard decisions. Whoever does get elected to this position is going to be facing some tough decisions. They're going to have to be willing to make those tough decisions. Also, I guess I'll put this in there. When I ran, my main function of this is, you know, our #1 resource in Campbell County is not coal or anything because they've taken that away from us. But like those school board member candidates said, are our children. And what I'm in there for is to do everything I can to make sure that our children, which are our #1 resource, are taken care of. So just remember me if you can when you go to the polls to vote. Thank you.
Steve Rutherford. Now to Mr. Whit Goins.
Good evening. I'm Whit Goins. I'm running for County Commissioner in the 1st. I've served 24 years down there, so you had to do something right. So they'll sure get rid of you if you don't. I have worked with the people the last 24 years. I got beat the last term, but they was 11 of us got beat, and it was called Mr. Marlowe did not get us a budget, so we couldn't set no budget. And I tried to get him and tried and never did get a budget. As far as I know, they the same way this time. They ain't got no budget, won't have no budget till after the election. So that's not good, really. When we got beat, we should have set the budget. We couldn't set one. We didn't get one. I'm asking. In fact, I worked Oak Ridge, Tennessee for 28 years. I was in maintenance. I served as Union Steward, committeeman, and the Sergeant of Arms. And I'm asking you all for your vote this coming August 7th. Thank you.
Mr. Whit Goins, now with a current commissioner, David Adkins.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Like he said, I'm David Adkins, and I am one of the 3 commissioners in the 1st District. And I'm a lifelong resident of Campbell County, and I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. All the way through school, from when I was a little kid, all I ever wanted to do was be in business. So when I graduated high school, I went to work. And about a year and a half later, I opened my first business, and I've been a businessman ever since. I've had a business here in Campbell County for 25 years, a successful business, mind you. Not only, my motivation this time is the same as last time. It's just to try to do better for the county and the citizens in the county. And I believe as a sitting commissioner that we have done that. We have done many, many things, that we have accomplished a whole lot of things in every area that was possible these past 4 years. I won't go on. I'll finish the rest of it up in my closing statements, but I appreciate your vote and support.
From David Ayers, we go to Ann Marie Ayers, and Marie is also on County Commission.
Thank you. Yes, I'm a current commissioner, and this is really not about us. This is about you. It's about our children. Someone asked me 4 years ago, why are you running for county commissioner? Don't you have enough to do? And I do, but I now have a 14-year-old sitting back there that didn't ask to be brought into the world, and he didn't ask to be in Campbell County. I chose that for him, and I feel it as my duty to you, to your children, your grandchildren, to do what I can to make it a better county. Sitting with David and Steve, one vote doesn't do anything. You need at least 8 at all times. Again, like David, we've made a lot of steps ahead. The first year, I can tell you from my own perspective, it took us that long to figure out what had been done, what hadn't been done, and what should have been done. So then we've had economics not been great, but I feel like we've done very good with what we've had to do with. We've made some strides. We've got a long way to go. There was 11 new commissioners come in. You did have a change 4 years ago. And if you'll look around and, do a little digging, there has been some solid changes. Hotel motel tax is a big revenue source for us, and it was not being enforced at all. The previous commission had put it in place, and that is on your tourists that come here. They stay less than 30 days. Excuse me. They are paying a 5% tax to be here, but there was no one enforcing it. So that is we've made strides in that. Again, we've got a ways to go, but we are building a system to monitor that and enforce it. My husband and I were both from here, graduated Campbell County in 1990. I did obtain a master's degree at the University of Tennessee. We're both self-employed, very successfully here, proud of it. Your life and your business and your county is what you make out of it. I ask for one of your 3 votes for County Commissioner, 1st District.
Thank you. Ann Marie Ayers. Now Jeffrey Miller.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Miller, and I want to be your County Commissioner of the 1st District. I'm from up the valley. My parents are Jeff and Teresa Miller. They're over here in the audience. I went to Valley View Elementary, La Follette Middle, graduated Campbell County High in 1999, and got my Associate of Science from Roane State last year. I'm an avid farmer. My dad taught me well, hard work pays, and you got to work hard to have anything, and I'm a firm believer in that. I work as a respiratory therapist at UT Hospital in Knoxville. I'm a patient advocate. I take my job serious. I work hard for my patients to make a difference in their lives of their family. And as your commissioner, I will do the same. I will work every day to make the difference in the lives of the people of the 1st District and county. I will be a commissioner that knows where every dime of taxpayer dollars is being spent, and if it's being wasted, we're going to stop it. That's just flat out, plain and simple. And on another note, why do I want to be a county commissioner? Well, it's real simple. I have passion, desire. I want to do it. I have the fire burning to be one. I will be a good county commissioner if you give me the chance. I can make a difference. I will make a difference if you'll give me the chance to lead. Thank you.
From Jeffrey Miller to Deputy Mayor David G. Young.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. This is a wonderful opportunity for the people to meet the candidates. Thank you all for sponsoring this. We really appreciate that. As y'all know, I've always got a lot to say, and I usually talk fast, so the only thing I'll ask you to do is listen fast, and we'll get through this just fine. I wanted to tell you, first of all, you already know where I want to go. I want to be a county commissioner. I want to have a vote and a say into what I have to administer when I'm the deputy mayor down here. So not only am I going to tell you where I want to go, but on the back of my card you'll find out where I've been for 44 years. There's 17 years in here it's not accounted for. I was busy growing up and getting out of high school. Last time I was on this stage was in 1969. I was a senior in high school, and I was nominated to be the most talented person in the class. No, I didn't win, but I was up here. Anyway, I'm David G. Young, candidate for county mayor, or no, not county mayor, county commissioner in the 1st District. I am the deputy mayor at this present time. Tell you a little bit about where I've been. For 2 years, I was in the United States Army with the Strategic Communications Command in Busan, Korea. 4 years, I was at the University of Tennessee. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. I was city manager of the city of La Follette for 6 years, county mayor in 88 to 92 for 4 years, county commissioner for 4 years, chairman of the county commission for 2 years, president of P&D Satellites for 8 years, president of Cablevision of Campbell County for 4 years. I was a corporate manager in Knoxville for 7 years. I was a deputy county mayor now for 3 years. I know budgets. I know how the county government works. I know how city government works. I have over 20 years experience in government and personnel administration. That's what this job is all about, is simply to manage your business, the business that you own, which is the corporation called county government. You are a stockholder in it. I want to be one of your representatives on the board of directors. I appreciate your vote. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, David G. Young. Since we started with Jay at the other end for the introductions, we'll start with David G. Young with our first question, and Brent will flip-flop to your end here, and if you'll pull out a question for, well, actually, this is going to go for every panel, for every person on the board up here. We are a little bit short on questions, so to make it fair, we're going to ask everybody the same question this evening.
Okay. Do you believe that all employees should be given raises based on job performance? Or do you think that salary wage increases should be given just because an employee has been on the job for another year?
I have no problem with that. I think that everything should be performance-based, and I think that it's up to the county commission when we evaluate, when the department heads evaluate employees, they should be given a raise from time to time. County employees have not had a raise in a long time. I'm all for the raises, but first of all, before we can spend more money than what we've got, you people that have the money out there have to give your county commissioners permission to do that. They do not have money of their own. The things that you want to improve your county with, if you want better roads, better schools, the teachers to have more pay, the county employees to have more pay, we have to have the permission of you to vote for those changes. They all cost money. But yes, I do believe that they should be, not just simply because they're there. You can end up with people after 20 years that are making a high salary for nothing more than answering the phone. That's not right when you've got other people that's really busting it for you. So it should be based on performance. Thank
you. Okay, here we go.
I'll repeat the question one more time. Okay. So the question once again is, do you believe that all employees should be given raises based on job performance? Or do you think that salary wage increases should be given just because an employee has been on the job for another year?
With this question, I'll just basically probably answer based on my own experience. I just went through a pay for performance evaluation at UT Hospital. The way they go about it, you do get a raise based on your performance all year from your manager, director, so forth. So I'm inclined to support pay for performance before anything else. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, in any job that you have, any position you have, I think it should only be based on performance. I'm now 42 years old, telling my age, but I remember going through our school system. I know this isn't school board, but it's still funded by your dollars. And I recall having some wonderful teachers, actually at Pinecrest Elementary, which is now closed down, but I really feel like if I hadn't had those teachers and people in my life that cared, I don't think I would be where I'm at today. But I do think we need better evaluations and truly base it on performance. I'm not sure that all the department heads, maybe they don't have the correct standards set up. Maybe we need a performance measurement put in place, but I do think it needs to be based on performance. Yes.
I guess for our radio audience, we probably need to identify the folks like we did earlier. This was Anne Marie Ayers speaking, and now not David Ayers, but David Adkins. David?
Thank you. This question isn't quite as simple as it might appear, because first of all, a commissioner's job isn't to evaluate anyone's performance based on what they've done. That's the department head's job. The road superintendent, the sanitation director, those people are the people that know what their people's doing and if they're doing a good job or whether they're not. But I'll go ahead and answer for the sake of the forum. I believe that great performance should receive great rewards. And it's that simple. If you do a great job, then you should be rewarded for it. But on the other hand, if you've got someone that's been your employee for 20 years or for 10 years and they've been a loyal employee and maybe mediocre, I believe that they should get a raise as well because of just simply because of inflation. You can't operate today on 5 years ago's dime. As simple as that. Now, with all that being said, I don't believe in percentage raises. I believe in dollar amount raises because what happens with percentage raises, if you've got a man making $100,000 a year and you say we're going to give a 5% raise across the board, then he gets a 5% based on $100,000 a year, and the guy that's making $20,000 a year gets 5% based on $20,000 a year. I think if you hand out raises, you give a dollar amount, whether it be 50 cents to everybody or $1 to everybody, whatever the case may be. And that's my take on that question.
From David Atkins, we go to Whit Goins.
Thank you. Well, like I said, I was down there 24 years, and I've seen them give the supervisors lots of money, and the Ollie people didn't get hardly no money at all. And in fact, I seen one get $16,000 a year, and I told him he didn't deserve it, but he got it anyhow. He had 8 votes. That's all you need down at Jacksboro. But I think the people that does hard work deserve a raise. I'm all for it. But I think you ought to do your job, too, in the meantime. But I would definitely, if we could find the money, give a raise for everybody, not just one person. I'd be for that all the way. Thank you.
Mr. Whit Goins, now Steve Rutherford.
I'm too for the performance-based pay, but I have a few little drawbacks with it. We need to make sure that when we get somebody to come in and evaluate people, that we train those people to be good evaluators. In other words, you know, we've heard the good old boy system. Well, somebody might get a raise when somebody else doesn't get a raise just because of a personal feeling there. So we might need to use somebody outside of the scope of whatever we're evaluating to get an unbiased opinion about the actual job performance. Also, I can give you a little bit about teachers. They're kind of unjustly sometimes doesn't get the amount of money they need because of one single test that they take, which is the TCAP test. And those teachers will wind up being a level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's based on how their kids score. But their kids may come in there on a day and not have a good day. They may not have a good classroom. But here's the situation. They need to be judged on how they teach the rest of the time and how they do the job the rest of the time. So I am for performance-based pay, but it has to be with good evaluators, people that are trained to evaluate the jobs that they're looking at.
Thank you, Mr. Steve Rutherford. Now to Anthony Tony Dossett.
Guys, what was the exact question? I mean, is it performance? I mean, performance on pay? Okay. Working in management and evaluating individuals through my career, I feel like that a person's performance is based, or should be, their pay should be based on their performance. I mean, that's pretty much bottom line. If they're not productive and they're not doing you a good job, then I don't think they need a raise. And that's all.
Anthony Dossett, now to Jay Mitz. Jay?
I think, you know, if they work hard and they do a good job, that's exactly, you know, I'm for any kind of performance-based pay. But if they're not very good, I'd even take it a step further. I mean, I'd send them on down the road. I mean, sorry to say it, but if you don't do a good job, you don't need to be doing it. That's just the way I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay Mitz. Our next question, Charlotte, do you have a question for us?
Please explain your level of commitment to Tennessee's records and sunshine laws. You think they're worthwhile? So it's pretty much, how you feel about transparency and open records.
We'll go back to the other end and start with Jay Mitz. Is that fair? Okay. Yeah, okay. They're asking about the sunshine law and basically with regard to transparency as an office holder, as a body, as a county commission. How do you feel about that? And obviously that's can be a really sticky point. Did I cover that okay? Did I get it across? Okay. Okay, the sunshine law is that you cannot meet outside a group meeting without allowing the public to come in. Yeah, and should it be, do you believe in transparency with the county commission?
Shouldn't be able to hide anything. I mean, there shouldn't be, there's no reason to go behind people's backs. You should always, it's not a, you're there for the people. You're not there for yourself. And sometimes it seems to be a part of the problem. But, I'd have nothing to hide, and that'd be fine with me.
Okay, thank you, Jay Mitz. Anthony, Tony Dossett.
This is a sticky, I guess, issue. I feel like that in meetings, they are a proper protocol that you can follow without keeping the public at rest or keeping them out of the meeting and out of the conversation or out of the issues at hand. And I'm up and down with this issue, but basically I'm for transparency. I would like, the people need to know what's going on. And their voice, the people's voice is who we are supposed to listen to. That's who we work for, is the people in First District. They should be able allowed to come down and have a conversation with us at any time about any issue, and we should listen to them. It's something that's, it's part of our rights, and that is basically how I feel about it. I think, yeah, transparency. We should have transparency, but they should be limits on, a way a meeting is conducted, and follow proper protocol. Thank you.
Tony Dossett to Steve Rutherford.
If you're a voter in First District, when you go in there and you put your little X or your check mark or whatever on the ballot, what you do is you put trust in whoever you vote for. Now here's the situation. When you do that, you're putting trust in us that we will follow with integrity and honesty what is expected out of your county commissioner. So I can honestly say in the 4 years down there, I don't think we've been in violation of the sunshine law. Now, that means getting together and trying to discuss something and settle something before we bring it before the public. Now, if I'm your commissioner, and I have been for 4 years, I'd try to base my life on honesty and try to do the right thing. So if we're going to be commissioners, we need to be honest and forthright, and when we get that X, let your trust be earned in us. Thank you.
Mr. Steve Rutherford now to Mr. Whit Goins.
Thank you. Well, I was there 24 years, and I don't reckon that we would ever refuse to meet the sunshine law. I know I would not, and I didn't miss no meetings neither. I only missed 4 meetings in the whole 24 years. So, and I've never met to discuss like that. So that's what you got your committee for, and have your regular meeting. Of course, now it's hard. I'll be honest, it's hard for 3 commissioners, one sitting on one end, one sitting on that end, discuss something in your district. We've had that problem down there before. That's hard to do. So, you can't discuss it. Sometimes I think the sunshine law is a little bit tough, but I agree with it 100%. You didn't, they'd get all out of hand. People would. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goins. Now David Adkins.
All right, thank you. First of all, I'd like to say that I believe in government transparency 100%. 4 years ago, when we got elected, the first things that we came to down there was a voice vote. And that's when there was a item up for vote, they just went around the room and it said yes and no and yes and no, and each person voted their opinion. And it was easy to sit on the other side of the table and count those votes and determine which way you needed to vote in order to skew the outcome. So I championed the ideal, along with a few others, of the electronic voting machines, which we have now, which takes that political part out of the voting. As in relation to the Sunshine Law, I'm for it 100%. I don't think there's any problems with it, but I'll tell you where it is difficult. We haven't ever broken it that I know of, but I've met with people on fire hydrants and on water lines and on road conditions, and I know Marie has, and we've had to meet with those people on 3 different occasions, Steve as well, because we can't all be there at one time according to the law. There's the problem I have with the law, because we should be able, in my opinion, I think we should be able to meet and discuss items that need to be done within our respective district, as long as we're not trying to make a decision at that time to go forward and bring it to the commission.
Thank you, David Adkins. Now Marie Ayers. This is my first day.
Yeah, for clarification, I'm not related to David Adkins, a.k.a. Ayers. Yes, I'm all for the Sunshine Law. Some people don't, I guess maybe the definition of it. If I see David out in public and I'm just talking to him in conversation about nothing to do with commission, that is not a Sunshine Law violation. It is when we're trying to get together to discuss an item that affects the general public. I am all for everybody being there. That's why I invite everybody to come to the workshops on the 2nd Monday of the month. You come to that to hear the discussions and what we're going to vote on the following Monday. So I'm all for the Sunshine Law. I really hate that we have to have a law to force people, or I guess reinforce that they're going to be honest and fair about it. It's kind of like having to take ethics training. I don't know how you can teach someone to be ethical, but I'm all for the Sunshine Law.
Again, David Adkins, Marie Ayers. Now Jeffrey Miller.
With regards to this Sunshine Law, I'm a full supporter of it. I believe in open government. I think the citizens have a right to come down to the courthouse and speak for however long they want to. I will not take place in no backdoor dealings that you've heard in other counties or so forth. I'm an honest man, and I will adhere to all policies set forth. Thank you.
Jeffrey Miller. Now David G. Young.
Okay, I am for open, honest government, to let you know. But the one thing that I have seen through the years is that, and when I say you people, I'm not talking about you people, I'm talking about all of our people. We have meeting after meeting after meeting. And if it weren't for the newspaper people there, you might have 3 more people in the audience. So the information a lot of times that you want and that your open government is already at the courthouse if you will bother to come to the meetings. Now, what they're talking about right here, I think, is the dissemination of information when someone with the press or the public asks for information that they know is public information. We have no problem with that. There's a procedure for doing that. They know what that procedure is. They follow it. The problem that we have with putting out information is when a citizen calls and says, hey, can you send me a copy of that budget? We can't just up and send you a copy of the budget. It's like 1,200 or 1,300 pages. There's expenses involved, but if you will come to the meetings, read the newspapers, listen to the radios, you will know pretty much what's going on. There's nothing in secret that's going on. We don't hide anything. And if you ever want information about anything that's going on in the county, if you will call me at my office, I promise you'll get that information. Now, it may be information that you have to fill out the proper paperwork just like they do. The press has to do that. It's not, they don't just walk in and get everything they need. No, we can't drop everything we're doing to give them information. We cooperate all we can. The process is out there, and we will follow it because I believe that we only work for you. All the information we have is your information, and we'll be happy to give it to you.
Thank you, David G. Young. Now let's go to Charles Boomer Winfrey for our 3rd question this evening. Wait. Oh. This is the final question for District 1. Okay. I'm going to do 3. Okay. time limit. Right, okay, gotcha. Are you ready?
I would get this one. Okay. Y'all got me figured out as a tree hugger anyway, so. All right. With the adoption of the Jackson Law, the County Commission now has the authority to approve or deny any permit for a landfill, including landfills for coal fly ash. If Ketchum Lane Company or any other entity applies for a fly ash landfill in Campbell County, how would you vote on the question?
Okay, you want a yes or no answer? Do you want a little explanation? Just how they want to do that? Okay. David, we'll start with you again. How about that? Or you just finished, we'll start with you now. David G. Young.
Okay, on the Jackson Law, very complicated law. I am against anything that will cause pollution or any problems with our mountains or our people here. But I will be the first to tell you, I was in on meetings. I've been in very many meetings on this law. It's very confusing. There is nobody in this county right now that's educated enough to vote yes or no on the Jackson Law itself. But as far as putting a fly ash dump or whatever in Campbell County, I'm skeptical of that because you also had it in Kingston. You've seen what happened to Kingston. So I would be very careful, and I want to study all the issues and find out what it is before I commit one way or the other. But as of right now, with everything that I know, I would have to be leaning on the anti-side.
David Young, now to Jeffrey Miller.
I'll be the first to admit this is probably a topic that I need to get educated on a little, the Jackson Law. But right off the top of my head, anything that would harm the environment, absolutely not. I'm not going to stand for no company coming in here and ruining our mountains and streams. I just won't have it. You know, with this ash spill in Kingston, you look at the devastation it caused to people and families, the money that it's incurred. I just think that, you know, we'd have to get together as a commission, look at the pros and cons, but right off the top of my head, no, I would not support this. No.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey Miller. And now Marie Ayers.
Okay. When this was brought to our attention, I've done a lot of reading, and a lot of reading. We first started to vote just to not allow the landfill, or the waste ash landfill. I'll get it out in a minute. And when we done the reading, that could not be done. The county body does not have the right to just say no. We had to enact and approve the Jackson Law first. So there's two pieces here that I think we're missing. The Jackson Law had to be adopted by your local county legislature. Then, if somebody wants to open a ash landfill, then they have to apply to the county body instead of the state of Tennessee. Therefore, it took the control from the state level and put it at your county level. If anyone applies for that, I will vote no. So I voted yes for the Jackson Law, which gives us the control to say no. So no to the ash.
Marie Ayers, now David Atkins.
Okay, Jim, this is it's a pretty easy one for me because we've already done it. But I'd be remiss in saying that off the top of my head I'd vote no, because I wouldn't. Because Campbell County is in tough economic times. We have been for several years now. So as a commissioner, I owe it to each and every one of the citizens in this county to have the opportunity and every chance possible to bring any kind of business or jobs into this county. With that being said, I've done research on top of research on top of research on top of research about this fly ash landfill. And at the end of the day, I'm with Marie. And the commission voted that way. We voted yes for the Jackson Law, which brings, just like she said, she's 100% right. It brings the power from the state to the county level. But after the research that I've done, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't just say go away. I would give it a chance. I've done the research. I looked at both sides of the coin. But right now, I'd vote against it. I would not have a fly ash landfill in Campbell County.
Very good. Thank you, David Atkins. Now, Mr. Whit Goins.
Well, I worked down K-25, and it's 7 miles on down to Kingston with a steam plant where they had the big spill. It's one of the worst that I reckon we ever had. So it was bad down there, and I don't be bad up there. I'm definitely 100% against it. If I was actually to vote on it, I'd vote 100% against it.
Thank you. Mr. Whitgoins. Now to Mr. Steve Rutherford.
One of the greatest attractions that we have in Campbell County is our nature and our beauty. And that's one of the things we did as a commission, vote for the Jackson Law, and we did as a commission vote the fly ash down. You know, we looked at that, and David mentioned jobs. Yes, we need jobs in Campbell County, but the detriment to our county and its beauty and everything would be more than the jobs that we could bring in. So we did vote against that. Thank you.
Steve Rutherford. Now to Anthony Tony Dossett.
Yes, as a former TVA employee working in the fossil and hydro programs, this stuff is toxic, guys. You don't want it in our county. That's ridiculous. It is, it's pollution. And, you know, you can't justify jobs for ruining your environment and your streams and what beautification we have here. I mean, absolutely not. Thank you.
Tony Dossett. Now Jay Mitz.
Well, I would definitely vote no. I mean, if Kingston don't want it and the White House don't want it at their lawn, we don't want it here. Period. Thank you.
Jay Mitz, thank you. Are we going to go with the fourth question, or was that it? Closing comments? Okay, 2 minutes on that? Okay, 2 minutes for closing comments. We'll start with Jay Mitz. Jay?
Well, I really don't know what to say, but, you know, I'd be honest and do things as hard as I can. And I would vote. There would be no sustaining for me. I mean, it's your job to know what you're voting on, so I would be there to vote and not dance around it. But, you know, I'm new at this. But I can talk, but I'm not necessarily in front of people. But anyway, I do the best job I could. Pick me election day is all I can say. Thank you.
Jay Mitz. Now Anthony Tony Dossett.
Thank you, folks, for coming out and listening to what we have to say here. I'm going to keep it short, which I try to keep the conversation short. I would do you a good job. I'll work 110% to work for the people of First District and Campbell County. We need jobs here. We need our education programs to be better. There's a lot of things that I hear from the people out here for the last 3 months that are concerning to me and concerning to them. And the people of First District is who we represent, not us. It's not me. It's not me, guys. It's the people of Campbell County and First District. Thank you.
Anthony Tony Dossett. Now closing comments from Steve Rutherford.
I'd like to thank the radio station, WLAF, and the La Follette Press for having us tonight. And need to let you know, first of all, thanks to the District 1 voters that put me in for 4 years. When I went down there, I got my eyes open to a lot of things. So what I'm asking you to do, again, I guess the reason I'm interested in being your county commissioner again is I've been here all my life, 52 years. I love Campbell County. That's my home. That's where I've raised my children. I hope to have some grandchildren someday and raise them here. And, you know, I want to be your county commissioner again because I want our county to be the best. So if you can, find it in your heart to vote for me, I'd appreciate that.
Thank you, Steve Rutherford. Now to Mr. Whitgoins.
Well, I'd like to thank y'all for allowing us to come out tonight. Had some good questions. I asked each and every one in the First District to vote for me. They have in the past, and if I get back down, I'll be honest with them. I try to be honest with them, the best of my knowledge. I always have. And if I get back down there, first thing I'm going to do is, if you go attend a meeting, you can get to talk. They got it now. You have to make 2 meetings. You can't talk. If I get back down, that'd be one of the first thing I do. Is I'll make a motion where I get it done, and now I'll make the effort. Instead of spend so much money driving gas back and forth. And I'll be trying to visit each and every one. I may not get to your house, but I'll be around to see you all. And I ask you, if you vote early, 18th of next month, I appreciate you voting for me. On August the 7th, I will be around to see y'all. My best. Thank you.
Mr. Whit Goins. Now to David Adkins.
Thank you, Jim. I'd like to say thanks to WLAF, La Follette Press, our panel over here for the questions, all the people that showed up here tonight in the audience, and all the people that's watching and listening on the radios at home. Like you said, I'm David Adkins, and I am one of your commissioners in the 1st District. I've been a successful business owner here in Campbell County for 25 years, and currently I'm the chairman of the Budget and Finance Committee, chairman of the Financial Management Committee, chairman of the Waterline Extension Committee, chairman of the Airport Committee, chairman of the Building and Grounds Committee, and I belong to several other committees, Animal Control, and there, you ask any of the other commissioners, there's a host of committees that we all belong to. I have the credentials to run the budget. I've ran budgets all my life. I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, where I ran $1 million budgets as I worked as a superintendent down there for a couple of years while my wife was down there going to school to further her education. We came back to Campbell County, and we've been here ever since. But the most important thing over top of all my credentials is the way my parents raised me. They raised me to know right from wrong, and that's what I bring to the commission. I bring all the knowledge that I have about business and the knowledge of knowing right from wrong. We've had a lot of success here these past 4 years, even during the economic times that we've had. At the airport, we wrote and received $1.6 million in grants over the past 4 years. At Jellicoe, we think we've got a new industry coming in up there. We wrote and received a grant for a railroad spur up there, $400,000. Anyway, there's a whole lot of time they're whispering in my ear that it's over, but we've done some good things. I'd like to be able to serve another 4 years, and I appreciate your vote and support. It's been an honor to serve these past 4 years, and thank you very much.
Thank you, David Adkins. Now closing comments from Marie Ayers.
Thank you. Again, I'd like to thank the radio station, the press, everyone for their time. Those at home that are listening, I do try to make my phone number available because I do understand there's a lot of people that are homebound and are not able to get out, and you're still a taxpayer, you're still a citizen, and I respect your vote as well. Thank the voters of District 1 for putting me in 4 years ago. I feel like, again, we've made great strides, but we have a long way to go. We had many years of maybe not so forward thinking, and you cannot look at just what's in front of you. You got to look 5, 10, 15, and 20 years down the road. If not, it's not going to be successful. Again, I was born actually in Lake City, raised in Pinecrest my whole life. That's where I still live. I was born here, raised here, live here. I plan to retire here, and if the Lord tarries is coming, I'll be buried here. So my roots are here. Again, my husband and I both have businesses. I feel like the county, it is a business, and I manage the money of the county to the best of my knowledge and my ability. I make the best votes for the people. If you have any questions, any concerns, you're able to reach me. I'm happy to answer your questions. The commission body, our duty and job is the budget. That is basically all we really have a lot of control over. We cannot go into the departments and tell them how to operate, but we set their budget. So at any time, again, feel free to call me. I'm here for you. I'm not here for me. Thank you for your vote.
Thank you, Marie Ayers. Jeffrey Miller.
I just want to say thanks to the press, Mr. Freeman, WLAF. I want to be your county commissioner. I have the ambition. I have for a long time, but I felt I was too young to run when I was in my 20s. But now that I've lived life a little bit and seen the hardships that can come from it, I think I can do good if you all give me the chance. I have the fire burning. Like I said, with my job, I'm a patient advocate. I make a difference in the lives of sick people and the lives of their families every day I go to work, and I take great pride in what I do. I can do the same on the county government side. I want to be remembered if I'm elected as one of the greatest commissioners ever elected out of the 1st District. I don't want people coming up saying, oh, we don't want him back. I want to be elected and make a difference, and I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey Miller. Now, David G. Young.
Okay, once again, I want to thank everybody involved in this whole process. It's a wonderful democratic process. I need to answer one question that I run into so many times out in the public that, you know, there's hardly every day goes by that I don't run into somebody who says, "What's the G for?" You want to know what the G is for? The G is for my middle name that I've hated all of my life. It's Gerald. But my mother loved that name, and I didn't love it until after my mother died. Then I started to appreciate it, so I started a construction company. I owned a construction company called Gerald Construction. The other reason is that there's several other David Youngs in the county, and I didn't want to ruin their name too, so I put my G in there so you know it's me. I am the county mayor, county deputy mayor right now. I do a lot in the county. I have a lot of success in the county, but I'm doing it for the people. In my tenure of government, off and on for 28 years, I have applied for, received, and administered more than $10 million in grants for Campbell County. It's not, I can't do everything out here, but that is what I do for a living. I'm a professional business manager and a professional personnel manager, and I know how county government is supposed to work. I know how it really works. I would like to be your county commissioner for the first district because I would like to have a vote in the process. Any information that you would like to have about the county, if you will call me at the county mayor's office, I will be happy to help you with anything that I can guide you through. Appreciate you being here, and if you can consider me to be your county commissioner from the 1st District, I would greatly appreciate it, and I will work very hard for you. Thanks.
David G. Young. A round of applause for David G. Young, Jeffrey Miller, Marie Ayers, David Atkins, Whit Goins, Steve Rutherford, Anthony Dossett, and Jay Mitz. Gentlemen and lady, you're dismissed. Thank you. We will look forward to our District 2 candidates for County Commission. Otis J. Hatfield, Clifton Tip Jones, Dwayne Mailman Kitts, Scott Kitts, Clifford Kohlmeyer, Lonnie Weldon, and Mark A. Wells. Not sure if everybody's here, but we would invite you to come on up. This is the Candidate Forum 14, presented by the La Follette Press and WLAF La Follette. We're glad you're here this evening. If you're joining us by way of radio, maybe 1450WLAF.com, we're glad you're along. We have one more round to go as we're visiting tonight with county commissioners from District 1 and District 2, school board candidates also from Districts 1 and Districts 2. Those were our first folks out of the gate this evening, as it looks like we have Tip Jones and Scott Kitts and Mark A. Wells here. Anybody else for District 2? That may be it. How about that? Gentlemen, we're glad you're here this evening. Okay, let's see here. We'll go ahead and put up name plates. Mark, you want to find Tips there? Scott, here you go, sir. Okay. So Clifton is your first name, huh? Well, Tip's a lot easier to spell and say. Okay, what we're going to do, gentlemen, is we're going to start with a 2-minute introduction for you, and then we'll go to questions from our panelists. You'll have 2 minutes to answer. And Mark A. Wells, since you're wearing the big orange colors, we'll start with you.
I appreciate that, Jim. I thanked you earlier for having us here tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Most of you, I think, know me from the community. I was raised in La Follette, went to Campbell County High School, went on to LMU and graduated, went on to the Southeastern School of Banking at Vanderbilt, and on to receive a Master School Board Member designation from the Tennessee School Board Association in Nashville. I started my professional career in La Follette over 25 years ago in real estate. That moved on to finance, then on to consumer banking, and finally into commercial banking. I'm probably the only candidate that's running that's actually loaned the county money over the years. I served 10 years on the school board. Chairman, vice chairman, chairman of the building committee was the most important thing as we built the new school that you're at tonight. Several others, including the new school at La Follette and the new school at Caryville. Both of those built on time and under budget, and that was a real accomplishment in working with the commission to get that done. The reason I'm running is our county's finances. We face several very, very serious financial challenges. Some of those you may know about, things like the loss of the anticipated revenue from coal severance taxes that amounts to a nickel on your tax rate, significant increases in workman's compensation and general liability insurance for the county. Those are skyrocketing. Finances are the main reason I'm running, and I think I'm the person with the best background financially to look for appropriate solutions.
I'm Tip Jones, and the way it looks around here, I'll be the elder statesman here, I guess, because everybody's older than I am. But anyway, I'll make it short here. I look over here at Boomer. He's been with me for a long time. And we started out in 1995 as a recycle director and built a program out there at Toe String Road. Went on into May '99, we put it all under one heading and called it the Environmental Service or Solid Waste. And I got promoted on into that deal. And I managed to take it with a lot of help. And I mentioned Boomer there. He was a lot of help to me, and he knows what I'm talking about. A lot of commissioners helped, and county executive at that time was Tom Steiner, and they helped. Everybody pitched in to get us to be. Matter of fact, in 2002, we rose up to be the #1 solid waste program in the state of Tennessee, and we won the Stewardship Award given to us over at Gatlinburg over there at Solid Waste Conference. But we made it to be #1 in something, and it was garbage. So anyway, the thing that I've got to, like I said, I'm 71 years old. I've been retired 4 years nearly. I've seen a deterioration. People have come to me, called me on the phone, not only from 2nd District, 1st District, all districts. Their solid waste program deteriorated bad. And your convenience centers was closed up to 4 days a week, which should never happen. There's no reason for that to happen. And so anyway, my intention is to bring this back, to bring all this back and give this service to the people who the taxpayers are paying for this service. Give that service back to you. Of course, there's a lot more that we need to correct. So I'll talk to you some more if you ask questions and anything like that. I can try to answer them. If I can't, I'll make up an answer.
Thank you, Tip Jones. Now to Scott Kitts.
Hello, I'm Scott Kitts. I served on the commission from 2006 through 2010. And I've been here all of my life. I've got 38 years experience in business, the field. I started at Woodson's when I was just a young boy at 15 years old, and I did work with some of the best business people that I consider in the county. That's Pop Woodson and Mr. Bob Woodson and Rob Woodson. I worked with them, and that's where I got all of my business credentials at. I'm a single father. I raised my son since he was a baby. Now he's 21 years old on his own. I am running again to seek my seat back. They tell me I did a good job in 2006 through 2010, and I know that they tell me I was an active commissioner, and I want to continue doing that job and watching over the budget. And I do know how to read a budget at 113 pages, and that's why I'm seeking this office back to work for the 2nd District and help my district do things and get things done in our district and work as the Campbell County as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott Kitts, Tip Jones, Mark A. Wells. We probably should have said this from the top of the event this evening, and that is the questions are a collaboration of the folks at this table. We had Dwayne Wilder. We got together and tried to come up with what we consider were important questions, fair questions, and trying to distribute them in a fair manner. So again, that should have been done 2 hours ago. We'll have our first question from Charlotte Underwood.
How do you feel the educational and skill level of the workforce in Campbell County? What would you do to improve it?
Hey, we'll go back to Scott Kitts and start with you, Scott. Okay, let's go ahead and ask that.
How do you feel about the educational and skill level of the workforce in Campbell County? What would you do to improve it?
Scott Kitts.
Thank you. Good question. I do feel that the educational level could be a whole lot better here. For the simple fact is that when you try to recruit industry and businesses to the county, what happens here is they tend to look at the education level and see if the employers are good to for them to have working for them, and I think that has a whole lot to do with people coming into the county and to see if they have a good educational credential.
Thank you, Scott Kitts. Now to Tip Jones. Tip.
Did I interpret you to say county employees or just a county government? As the whole county? Well, right now, with our industrial, the way it is right now with our economy, you can have those people with college degrees can't get a job because there's nothing here for them to work at. See, there's the problem. And so you can have the best education you can have, but if you haven't got nothing for them to do, and it's a technology world, and we're not into technology here now, as far as that goes. And yeah, it'd be great to have, your education. I have that in my family. And you're going to have to go somewhere out of here to use your education because there's nothing here to use it on. That's the best I can answer you.
Thank you, Tip Jones. Now to Mark A. Wells. Mark.
We've heard criticism for years about the educational system in the county, and I, for one, don't think it's as bad as it's made out to be. And I don't say that after having spent 10 years on the school board and having an intimate knowledge of some of these things as far as test scores and those kind of things. We put too much emphasis on some of that stuff. But what I look at are, one of the things are the people I went to school with. And I see, and then this really struck me at the event that was held, the event last week, looking out into the audience. I see E.L. Morton out there. E.L.'s running for county mayor. I went to high school with E.L. He's a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. He didn't get there from a bad school system. I see another friend of mine sitting right there. Been at the same company 28 years and holds a very serious management position. I see more folks like that. Steve Rutherford, 3 or 4 years ahead of me in school. He's the principal at Valley View. I could pick out some more. Rector Miller and I graduated from high school together. I see a lot of positive things. A lot of it has got a lot more to do with the spin you put on it and the mamas and the daddies. I had a family when I came home from school that told me I was going to do something in life. And you're going to go to school and you're going to make something out of yourself. Families don't do that a lot of times. What we've got to do is try to motivate people socially. The school system can only do so much. Mama and daddy have to be there telling them we've got to have a positive spin. You tell children you can be a winner. And if we don't tell them they can be a winner and show them how, it's the county's job to give them the tools. But even with the best of tools, there's going to be a percentage of children at the very top of the scale, no matter what obstacle you put in front of them, they will rise to the top. There's going to be a certain percentage at the bottom, no matter what inducement that you give them or any advantage that you give them, that still can't rise to the top for a number of reasons. A lot of times those are medical conditions or genetic. It's those kids in the middle that you got to worry about. And that's where we've got to go. We've got to motivate people.
Mark, thank you. You're doing well with your mic. I was afraid the switch had gone off on us there. Sorry about that. Okay. Mark A. Wells, thank you. Brent, how about our next question, sir?
On a follow-up to that question, I would just like to know how you plan to bring jobs into the county. If you can just take maybe about 30 more seconds, everyone, just to say how you attract more jobs to the county. Please explain.
Mark A. Wells.
We've got to expand our tax base. We've got to market our county. We've got to quit thinking about all the negative things that we hear about in this county and start talking about some of the positive things and put a spin on that outside the county. The tax base is not expanding. If we can get that going again and we can get people coming here, we can achieve that.
Mark Wells. Now we go to Tip Jones. Tip.
I'm glad you asked that question. Let me tell you something. You're not going to get industry in Campbell County till you take care of the industry you already have in Campbell County, okay? And so, it's been 2 months ago, I was in a local restaurant. 2 commissioners, they're there now. I asked them, I said, what happened to Profile Solutions? They said, what do you mean? I said, it's been closed 3 months, gone out of John McGee Industrial Park. When you got commissioners, and I'm going to preach here in a minute. We'll take a collection up before we're through. When you got commissioners that are up on the game like that, you don't expect to get industry in until they knew Lincoln Brass years ago, a year ahead of time, was going to leave this county, and nobody went around. We had a company, Austin Powder, been here for 60 years. They wanted to build a plant here. They wanted to stay here on account of the workforce. It's being built in Greene County right now, going to work 200 people. I've talked to some of the officials at $20 an hour. Ain't bad. They needed access to railroad and access to interstate. So apparently we don't have an interstate in our county, and we don't have a railroad in our county. That's all I got to say.
Tip Jones, thank you. Now to Scott Kitts. Scott.
Okay, this is concerning the industrial recruiter. Is that correct? Is that what you're? Okay. I ran for county mayor in 2010, and my goal was to, with approval of the county commission, of course, we could try to find money somewhere else if we do the line item of the budget, but I was willing to hire an expert industrial recruiter with a proven track record with the county task force to bring permanent jobs to the county, which would develop a portfolio showing all the positive reasons why Campbell County would be the best place to locate a new business, and by highlighting our excellent highways, accessibility, positive tax incentives, industrial land availability, the abundance of skill and unskilled labor, right to work freedoms and low labor cost. So I was that would be my goal if I'm elected as when I'm elected as county commissioner again, to be pushing that issue, and also work closely again with the Chamber of Commerce, and that's how I feel, and I'll be pushing that issue when I'm elected again for the 2nd District County Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Scott Kitts. And a question from the fishbowl. Boomer's going to strap on the glasses here. Okay. All right. See what we come up with here. Oh, that's a long one.
Oh, well, that's not too bad. The present commission at one point eliminated the discretionary fund for individual commissioners to earmark donations to schools and other nonprofit groups, then reinstated it. Do you favor keeping the discretionary fund or returning to the past practice for requiring nonprofits to apply for county support during the budget process?
Okay, let's go. How about Tip? We'll let Tip get going here. We've gone to each side. Tip, go ahead, sir. Tip Jones.
Let me tell you about that, and I'll tell you a good example. When they voted away, what happened? You got Davis Capital Community Center, which is going away right now because the late Adrian Baird and Bobby White gave money. One gave $1,000, one gave $1,500. It took care of the expenses of that community center. When they voted that away, it went away. And Mr. Winfrey, you remember real well, being attending meetings, that before you had discretionary funds, you had everybody in the country coming down there wanting money. And you was giving away more money than what you was giving away on this discretionary money. So the way they did it, it's about the only way you could do it was divided equal among your commissioners to give out to senior citizens or community centers or anything like that. It had to be, you couldn't just give it to anybody. They had to be, and as far as being for it, yeah, because I think you would be spending less money with it than you would be giving money away to every fire department, everybody that comes through.
Thank you, Tip Jones. Mark Wells.
Well, God help me, I agree with Tip on this one. I'm just kidding, Tip. But no, I do think that you are right about that. There does need to be a certain amount that they have a discretion to hand out, as long as there are criteria that are established and that are followed through, so that it does not go to anybody that's non-deserving. I mean, it needs to be to public entities of some sort that are accountable for the money. And as long as there's accountability for the money, I don't have a problem with that.
Thank you, Mark. Mark Wells. Now to Scott Kitts. Scott?
Guys, good question you got here. This here, where we're at tonight, is a good example of where some of the discretionary funds that I used. I'm 110% for it. I've helped the band at the high school. I've helped different places, basketball. I've helped the La Follette Recreation Center, and really right down to it, a lot of these kids and the parents cannot afford to buy band equipment and et cetera, and go on trips and stuff like that. So yes, I think that they all deserve that, and I think that we deserve to have that. And then also, for the simple fact is that they did away with it. You know, the new commission did, and I think that some of these places really deserve that money. It's not a whole lot of money in 4 years that can be spread it out. And I agree with some sense with these guys. It does need to be spread out to the places that solely deserve it. Some people, you know, I've always heard rumor and tales that some people use it as a political thing, but that's not the issue. Is you got to spend that money accordingly and make sure it goes to different organizations and places that it does deserve to go to. So I'm definitely for discretionary funds, and I think that a lot of people do deserve that. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Scott Kitts. So we had two questions and then kind of a footnote question. Do we want to go ahead and ask one more question? As Brent Channing, the editor of the La Follette Press, this may be a one-liner. That's a pretty thin piece of paper there.
Can the coal industry be revived in Campbell County?
Hey, where do we start? I've lost track. Who do you want to go to? Scott? Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Can the coal industry be revised in Campbell County? Do you think the coal industry can be revised in Campbell County? Revived. Scott Kitts.
Let's see. 1977, actually, believe it or not, I worked in the coal mines when I was just a young boy, loading, blasting dynamite caps. Everybody knows what that's about. And I would surely hope so that the coal comes back around in the county. And if I ain't mistaken, Boomer, I think it's the only place that's close enough it's mining is Claiborne and Anderson County. Is that right? Somewhere, Claiborne. I hope it does, but I don't. I hope it comes back around and puts people back to work. But I do support the coal industry, and but the revenue has the county revenue though has driven in the last 4 years, and I'm going to do a little bit more studying about the coal revenues and stuff like that when I'm elected again as commissioner.
Thank you, Scott Kitts. Now to Tip Jones. Tip.
I just watched it on the news before I come down here. 412 steam plants in the United States is closing down. Coal-fired plants, the answer in Campbell County is no.
I remember when Tip drove a truck and hauled coal. Am I right about that? I remember when Tip did that. The General Assembly of Tennessee took away the primacy is the big issue. In 1984, I believe it was, Lamar Alexander went before the legislature and asked for the disbanding of the Tennessee Office of Surface Mining and the repeal of all Tennessee's mining laws. That was because of the issue of primacy, which determined who had the right to regulate coal in Tennessee. If you met the requirements of the OSM, of the federal OSM, you couldn't meet the requirements of the state. That led to wildcatting, all sorts of environmental issues that Boomer could tell you a lot more about than I can. The water issues, all these things. It got to the point you couldn't get a permit. We're to the point now that there is no mining in Campbell County. Our anticipated coal severance tax for last year was $385,000. That is a nickel on your county tax rate. The tax rate, every penny on your county tax rate is about $70,000. So $385,000 is a nickel on your tax rate. That's substantial. It doesn't seem like a lot of money in the scope of the largeness of the budget, but it is when you start breaking down all the revenue sources. The General Assembly of Tennessee now has it in committee to reinstate those laws and go back to the argument over primacy. Until that issue is settled, there will be no mining in this part of the country. And the federal government is doing everything they can to stop it. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I understand about the environmental issues. I'm all for protecting the environment because that's another part of our economic plan that in Campbell County, that if we don't have that, we're in serious trouble. But the mining industry cannot do anything. Well, I'll put it this way. I was at a dinner a couple years ago here in Campbell County, and the governor spoke. And the table was about the size of this, and every coal person there paid $500 just to get close to say a word to him. Right now, the answer is no, but I sure wish it would come back.
Thank you, Mark Wells. That concludes our questions for the District 2 County Commissioners, Mark Wells, Tip Jones, Scott Kitts. Now, gentlemen, we have a couple of minutes for you to go ahead and do a closing statement, ask for a vote, what have you. Scott Kitts.
Okay. I want to thank the La Follette Press and WALF for putting on this forum. And I want to thank the good people that came here tonight. And I also want to thank the people that's in the 2nd District that's watching on television tonight and WLF green screen. You elected me to do a job in 2006. The good people of the 2nd District, which consists of Davis Chapel, East La Follette, College Hill, and Davis Chapel, put me as the top vote getter because they believed that I was a choice and to move my district forward and do the best that I possibly could do. And they gave me overwhelmingly vote and gave me the top seat. And I'm hoping that you all will at least give me one of the choices in that district again, as I will continue to work hard as your county commissioner, not just for the 2nd District, but the county as a whole. We all got to work together. And I'm a man that will go to extents to work hard for you in the district. And if I even have to get in my vehicle, go to Nashville, I still have contacts in Nashville. A lot of people know that I've done that, and I will do that again for not only the 2nd District, but for county as a whole. I humbly ask you, the good voters of the 2nd District, to vote me and elect me again, and I will continue where I left off in 2010 to work as hard and diligently as I possibly can. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Scott Kitts. Now, closing comments from Tip Jones. Tip.
I've got to make a little statement here. Me and Boomer one time, Boomer listened to me there and quit writing. He come and he wanted to go up on the big floor and look at about 250,000 tars in a strip pit. So me and him took off up there, and we looked at them and walked around them, might eat up mosquitoes. The next night at 6:30, I get a call from a litter control officer, the tars are on fire and they burn up. Do you remember that? And one more thing I used to say, I told Robbie Headley, when I spent 4 years right here in this auditorium in high school, we used to flip pennies into those little things up there. Boy, it made a racket and a half. Teachers didn't like it. But I'll tell you what, the biggest issue, real quick, has been given to me because I was involved in it for 16 years, was our sanitation department. We need to open that back up, and it was closed down with any reference to the commissioners. And I think any commissioner sitting here can verify that they did not come to the commission to shut these down. I'm going to request, if I'm elected, that you open them back up. If you can't, we will take steps. If I can get 8, 7 more people to help me, we'll open them back up. That's like Carl Beard said back in 1995 when I went to a meeting. You get 8 votes on the commission, you can sell Campbell County to the Chinese. So anyway, you got to have help, and you get these things done. And I want to say something else here. Go just a little inch further real quick. We talk about taxes. We got hundreds and hundreds of people leaving this county every day, going to Tazewell, Knoxville, Maryville, Oak Ridge, Kingston. They're paying $100 to $125 a week for gas bill every week. I am for not putting no more taxes on these people, I'll tell you that right now. And they won't, I'm not going to get off the bus and walk in down there at Jacksboro the first thing and vote for a tax raise. I don't care what they're wanting down at Jacksboro. It ain't going to happen here. It can happen here and it can happen here. But this one won't do that till we get this economy, get us to where we can afford it. You can't put more burdens on these people. Thank you. Thank you. Oh yeah, vote for me.
Thank you, Tip Jones. Now, closing comments from Mark Wells. Mark?
The last time that our county was in serious financial peril was in the late 80s and early 90s when David Young, that's running in the 1st District, sued the county commission, which led to the establishment of the adoption of the Financial Management Act of 1981 that we operate under today. I don't think our county is mismanaged financially. It's not. If you read the audit reports, and I've read them, our management of our money is okay. The problem is an economic one, not a management one. Any of these gentlemen that have run for office, if it were a management problem, could come in under recommendation, make a change, and fix it. But that's not the problem. The problem is economic. If you don't build and expand the tax base in your county, then and don't have a recurring revenue stream to pay the bills, what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to either tax or you're going to find a way to pay the bills. You got to pay the school teachers, you got to pay the garbage men, you got to pay everybody. Well, how you do that's from income. For 17 or 18 budget cycles, we had an expansion in the tax base that substantiated that. That's gone. 5 years ago, that left. It was the decline of the residential and commercial construction industry, which Campbell County is heavily dependent upon. You can look at the numbers. They speak for themselves. And as far as the tax rate goes, it's not going to be a matter of the commissioners making that decision. When your tax base drops $40 million and it stops growing, the state will come in, reassess your property, and the tax rate goes whatever it takes to get back to the maintenance of effort. So it's not a matter of wanting to do it. It's a matter of the state coming in saying you're going to pay your bills or you're not going to pay your bills. Justin Wilson's the comptroller of the treasurer. He's not going to like that too good. I've met the man. What we've got to do is get the county moving forward again and putting money in the coffers so we don't have to pay taxes. But not only do we not pay them, we've got money left over to do projects to help the citizens of Campbell County. That's what I promise to do, is just to try to do the job. And I think I have the financial background and the financial acumen to be able to understand those problems and try to find appropriate solutions. And I respectfully ask for your vote and support to help do that.
5 seconds. What can you say in 5 seconds, Tip? Is it a Merry Christmas? What? A Happy 4th of July? Here, go ahead. Say it.
I think that one thing I'd be for 100% in this county with problems that we've had, I'd be for every county employee, including me, if I'm elected, drug testing. Every county employee.
Thank you, Tip Jones. Scott, you're good. You're good. No, we're trying. Did you not finish what you wanted to say? Okay, good deal. Scott Kitts.
I only want to say thank you also to the La Follette Middle School precinct if I left that out. So I was trying to get it all in there, and I appreciate it. Thank you very kindly.
We want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Scott Kitts, Tip Jones, Mark Wells. A big round of applause. District 2 County Commission candidates. Gentlemen, thank you for coming out this evening. Thank you to our panel, Charles Boomer Winfrey, Charlotte Underwood, Brent Shanding, Karen Kumrich, Joe King, Theron Overbay on camera, Dwayne Wilder on camera, and a special thank you to Mr. Robbie Heatherly and La Follette Middle School for their great hospitality tonight. Our next candidate forum 14 is coming up on July the 10th. That will be at Jacksboro Middle School. Same format, we think. It'll be districts 3 and 4, county commissioners, school board members, candidates, and also mayoral candidates. That's at Jacksboro Middle School coming up in a couple of weeks on July the 10th. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.